The cringe is forcing my skeleton out of my body like toothpaste from a tube.
Her taking the suit off is part of the magic, but once she's done it, I don't know, like, you know.
There are accusations out there that I am obsessed with buckets in video games. And those accusations are true.
Boom charcuterie! He's got a point value!
Hello, everyone. Welcome to Windbreaker's podcast, your Monday treat. Didn't really have much more to add to that. I'm Yahtzee, and I'm joined by Jay and Marty, as always.
Hey,
And gosh, haven't we been doing this podcast for a while now? How long has it been?
ages.
Since
A couple weeks, I think.
At least a couple weeks.
Pretty much.
Yeah.
My, it's a good thing this podcast has such lastability.
I mean, you guys love listening to it.
At a certain point, we could just forget about topics and just rehash old topics.
Yes, well, speaking of topics, today we're talking about what makes a game franchise really last. What gives it the staying power of, say, a Windbreaker podcast? Not necessarily what makes the games good, but why are they still fresh and still pumping out the new installments to this day? Well, in some cases, in Final Fantasy, for example, it's just a completely new game every time. And they just stick the
better or
name
for
on.
worse.
So not really worth considering those examples. But of course, the thumbnail features Pokemon, Resident Evil, and
That's it. Just old Pokemon,
yes.
old Resident Evil, new Pokemon, new Resi.
Yes, we were just commenting on how much we enjoy the original concept art of Pokemon. If you look at the Pikachu on the thumbnail there.
Yeah, there's like a nice watercolor to it that you just don't isn't really represented in any of the games, which I like.
I just like Pikachu.
I like it when concept artists attempt to do something kind of spicy with their concept art. There's like, it's just not just still drawings. It's like, I'm with Final Fantasy, going back to that, the concept art for Final Fantasy is famous for being kind of very different to what the final product is, but they convey so much through it, so much character, that I'm sure it inspires a lot of the narrative and stuff like that.
Yeah,
I think
especially those
Pokemon
early,
was
like
similar with
the early 8 and 16-bit ones, where obviously it took more imagination to imagine what like a Celeste or Locke looked like.
100%.
Right. And Pokemon, of course, never been shy about branching out to different genres.
No.
Is one thing you can do to keep things fresh. Because I know the mainline Pokemon series, I haven't really checked in on in years because kind of bores the shit out of me.
Yeah, and it seems like it's one of those where every time a new generation gets announced, there's this will be the one, Game Freak finally got their act together and is taking the right time. And honestly, we're at that part of the cycle now because Gen 10 is coming out next year, Switch 2 exclusive, Wind in Waves. But in the meantime, we got a Pokopia this year that felt as fresh as anything in Pokemon in a very long time.
Well, fresh if you hadn't played Dragon Quest Builders, apparently.
Sure, yeah. I mean, fresh in terms of Pokemon, yeah.
All the comments were like, "Oh, he didn't mention that it was basically just Dragon Quest Builders," because I hadn't played Dragon Quest Builders. But okay,
how dare you not know everything?
I don't know anyone who has.
But yeah, and the topic, stemming slightly from Pokemon getting a nice refresh this year, and then Resident Evil having its 9th numbered installment, but millionth franchise installment this year, also just kind of hitting big numbers. So like, what is about them that keeps them alive where other franchises might be waiting?
Well, on the one hand, Resident Evil also is very good at reinventing itself. As I've documented often, Resident Evil 4 was like a huge turning point. Resident Evil 7, less so, but still pretty seismic from the series' perspective. And they've always been, but besides that, it's always been able to keep a largely consistent tone. And this is going to be my hot take for the podcast, but I think the reason why Resident Evil has survived so long is because it's a little bit crap.
Interesting. Okay,
And there is something to be said for the argument that if there's an obvious flaw with something, people respond a lot better. For one thing, there's a sort of very human charm to that sort of thing. People relate to something that's got its flaws over something that's just perfect. The people like the jank, and it also gives something people like talking about. I know personally, I love talking about how much the Resident Evil story sucks, and how they always have to ruin the games by bringing it all back in. And Chris Redfield is the avatar of destruction in terms of story quality.
I feel like it makes it human.
Destruction. Yeah.
Yeah.
Makes it human for me, you know.
We like it because it's a bit jank.
Yeah.
And I guess do those rough edges kind of give it a personality that's something that feels sanded down and kind of saccharine and
feels authored.
Well, exactly. Right? Yes.
Yeah. Even if the author did a bad job.
I think Silent Hill is another franchise where I feel like each one you can really feel the identity of not just the writers, but also mechanically, like they take it and they go, right, I'm going to do something kind of different with it. Like it's all within the same sphere, but they're like, I'm going to try something a little bit different. And I massively appreciate that over than just like rehashing the same thing over and over. Like even if they fail, right? Even if it's bad, like speaking of FF8 and stuff like that.
I mean, the poster child for sticking around because we all slightly charmed by the jank is Hideo Kojima. The he insists on keeping the Metal Gear Solid, Metal Gear series going within continuity, and we're all happy to see him do it because we love that he keeps trying, even though he's not actually that good at pacing out a story or writing dialogue.
Completely disagree, but that's another topic.
Oh my goodness!
Well, I might be playing MGS1 tomorrow, so maybe this is a future Windbreaker.
Then we just need you to play 3, 4, 5, 2.
Yeah, give me a year.
Marty, okay, Marty, would you defend like the 45-minute dialogues in Metal Gear Solid 2, where they just bang on for ages and ages about the fucking memes?
I don't think I'm going to defend it, but it is what the game is, and it is like unabashedly that, and I appreciate it for that. I will always appreciate a big swing, even if it doesn't quite make contact.
It's the appreciative jank, as I say.
Appreciative jank.
It's the jank we like to see.
Yeah. But while that specifically, you can kind of say, you can point to Kojima like, ooh, you seem like a person that is single-handedly, you were helping Metal Gear Solid stay relevant, over the course of several generations and everything. One way that you could keep a franchise relevant, in my opinion, is giving it to new blood, right? Is in the past, like letting Obsidian take a stab at with New Vegas, which obviously there's DNA there beforehand, but even earlier this year, Procopio with Omega Force being the lead developer on it, and Game Freak taking a backseat, or even Donkey Kong last year, which wasn't Rare, it wasn't retro, it was Nintendo internal, which
I think the risk with that is that a franchise can lose its identity to a certain extent if there isn't a sort of central guiding hand. I think that definitely happened with Silent Hill. Silent Hill had a very clear vibe, and later games, when they gave it to different developers, they try to recreate the vibe, but the vibe just wasn't there.
Yeah.
And it's hard to put your finger on exactly how. I put it down to like it being Japanese and the later games being Western. There was just a completely different sort of sensibilities going into it.
Like with Devil May Cry as well, that happened.
Yeah. Also, for certain franchises like Silent Hill, maybe not even a misunderstanding, but an array of interpretations of what makes a Silent Hill game, which I think we're in a similar place with like Final Fantasy. What makes a Final Fantasy game Final Fantasy? And people will say, oh, real-time combat, you can't be Final Fantasy. But like no one can really agree on like what are the core tenets of a Silent Hill game, I think. Maybe it's like porno, when you see it.
But it when you can feel it.
Yeah. Well, what I've said before is that the prologue of Silent Hill 1 is sort of like the bullet point list there. You got Lost in Foggy Town, go down alleyway, bloody gurney, turn a corner, bloody overturned wheelchair, turn a corner, Rusty Nightmare World, killed by monsters.
Sure.
There you go.
Yeah.
That's Silent Hill.
Yeah. That is kind of the gameplay loop in a nutshell right there. Yeah, but it's also interesting when you look at modern Silent Hill, what they're trying to do, I think, to kind of revitalize the franchise is another thing that franchises have done in the past, which is pretend bad ones have never happened. Be like, okay, how do we revitalize this? And it's like, well, let's just pretend all of those post-4 games kind of didn't happen.
Like Resi 6.
Yeah, honestly,
Well,
kind of like Resi 5 and 6.
Well, Resident Evil 9, if you look for it, contains dialogue confirming that Resident Evil 6, the events of Resident Evil 6, still happened in continuity.
Sure, but it is not a sequel to Resident Evil 6. It is very much a sequel to Resident Evil 2, right?
It's a sequel to specifically the 2 remake rather than
sure.
Resident Evil
Yeah,
2.
which is, I think why we see we've talked about this on a few other shows, but like the reason we see remakes of a random popular game in a series is kind of like, oh, this is a good way for us to kind of get back to our roots and then maybe get into something new. Like the reason they remade Metal Gear Solid 3 is probably because they're trying a new Metal Gear and kind of using this to almost gauge interest like a bellwether.
So you know how I was saying how Resident Evil keeps going because we appreciate the rough edges and the jank? I think that's the problem with the Silent Hill 2 remake, because I think they basically just did Silent Hill 2 again, but more polished. And now all I see is the polish. Does that make sense?
Sure.
Yes, I'm also getting deja vu. Have we had this exact conversation before?
It's possible. We do
It's
go
possible
over
when,
things.
when Silent Hill 2 came out. Yeah.
It's
And
possible
also
when you've got
Windbreakers just keeps going.
Yes, it's possible when Windbreakers lasts as long as it does. We're going to go over the same topics now and again.
Another way, keeping something fresh, make us miss it, is the thing.
Mm.
Yeah, I've
If
said that.
we
I
see
said
you
that
every
to
year,
Ubisoft.
we're not going to miss
said
it.
that-
Exactly. Ubisoft's a perfect example.
I said that to Ubisoft. Hey, Ubisoft, you can't be nostalgic for something that hasn't actually gone away for a while.
Yeah.
So maybe stop with the Assassin's Creeds for a bit.
Yeah, I think that's part
That
of
would
the
make
reason.
me want to jump back on, you know?
Yeah, they've done some like we're taking a year off kind of things. Mainline Pokemon this year is taking a year off for next year. Like, I think that's what makes certain franchises special. Is like, oh, we don't get a brand new Zelda game. We get a brand new Zelda game like once every 5 to 10 years, like a mainline one, and that kind of makes it feel special as opposed to
Anticipation.
Call of Duty is every year. Yeah. There's an anticipation, and there's a like, oh, I missed having this in my life.
And like a design one, like because with Tears of the Kingdom, for example, I love Breath of the Wild, but this even though Tears of the Kingdom basically just looks like Breath of the Wild, but again, the length it took them to get it out, I was like, well, they must have been cooking up some weird systems. Like there must be something in here that's like really odd, and that got me really excited to jump back into it. So I think time is a huge factor. Yeah.
Yeah. How do you feel about it when franchises kind of get outside their comfort zone?
Well, it can work,
Sure.
he said diplomatically.
I'm looking at examples like I think Black Flag is saw kind of not even, but just like people were getting a little bit sick of the Assassin's Creed formula with the 2 trilogy and 3, and decided to kind of go in a different direction. Right?
Yeah, and I was still sick of the Assassin's Creed formula in Black Flag because every now and again you have to stop being a pirate doing pirate ship things,
Being an
and you have to
assassin.
go, and it goes back to being an Assassin's Creed game, which are the worst parts of the game.
Yeah.
So yeah.
But we had kind of 2 new attempts at revitalizing Prince of Persia in different ways over the past few years, with The Lost Crown being kind of a pure Metroidvania, and then Rogue Prince of Persia being like a roguey action game.
I think it's hard to say that you couldn't have put those games out with different names and they wouldn't have worked perfectly well.
So that is an interesting thing. When you get outside the comfort zone, at that point you are kind of like, could Black Flag have just been a pirate game? Could Resi 7 have just been? We've talked about this before. Could Resi 7 have just been a new IP? Like what? Like very little about that game feels Resident Evil, aside from like the actual feeling of claustrophobia and fear that relates.
Mind you, Prince of Persia: Sands of Time didn't feel much like the original Jordan Mechta Prince of Persia. in MS-DOS. So maybe
Yeah.
you know all that matters is that you make something good.
Sure. Yeah.
New
Especially
developers, new blood.
Yeah, people who might have grown up on the original ones. There's also the every franchise hit that moment where it had to transition from 2D to 3D, which
Yes, that's a sort of like apocalypse level event in the history of video games.
yeah. It weeded out which developers at the time were able to make that jump, and then over the course of time, which franchises were even built to make the jump to 3D, because a lot of them still kind of haven't recaptured the magic of 2D.
Well, on that note, let's bring up another specific. Mario. What is it that gives Mario his last ability?
Sure.
Because it is largely we are rehashing the narrative formula a lot of the times, and especially with like the new Mario Bros and stuff on the DS, we are kind of rehashing a lot of the OG designs on the NES and the SNES, right?
It has branched out in a lot of ways, but I think ultimately Mario is a story of almost perpetual reinvention. It's not like Sonic, where they just keep trying to like drag out the life on the strength of the slightly insane fan base that are clinging to it by continually sort of pulling and stretching it across. Mario's just sort of, every new game is like a blank slate. I mean, yes, we all are familiar with the continuity. Here's Mario, here's his brother, here's the princess, Bowser's the bad guy. But those are all universal themes. And the game is usually, you don't need to have played any previous Mario games to understand what's going on. And it's always been
for me.
And it always reinvents itself for like the new generation as well. That's why it sustains itself.
I think Nintendo's also in a very kind of rarefied atmosphere of, they happen to have, during the 2D era, some of the best game designers in the world, many of which were able to transition into the 3D era, but they've stayed at the company so long that they have this institutional knowledge that they've been able to pass on and almost have this internal farm system, to where Nintendo just announced that Takashi Tezuka is retiring next month. And this is the guy who in a 6-year span directed Mario 3, Mario World, A Link to the Past, A Link's Awakening, and Yoshi's Island. Like that's like madness. And this guy has been working on Mario ever since, and has been like, mentoring like this younger generation. And so like that kind of institutional knowledge just doesn't exist when a Ubisoft makes a game like Lost Crown and then kind of just fucks with the team and implodes it and maybe puts it back together afterwards. But like, there is no building upon a successful formula there.
Yeah, there we go again. The guiding hand, the human face.
Yeah,
that's a good point. Sometimes something lasts because it's got damn good infrastructure under it. It's on a firm foundation. They got the rebar in the concrete just so.
Yeah.
That's
got good bones.
That ain't coming down anytime soon.
Yeah,
Mario for me is a great example of something that I think can really keep a franchise fresh, which is doing two things. One, you can try and reinvent the wheel and do something spicy, and I think Mario does do that. There's lots of spin-offs moving into different genres using the familiar IP, but also with its core games, I feel like they've been very good at understanding and listening to what the fans want. So like when I come back to it, I kind of know when I see, a traditional 2D Mario game, I know what I'm going to get, and there's that familiarity there, so it feels comfortable. And even though I know I'm not going to have my mind blown by completely new designs, I understand what I'm getting myself into. And there are some games which I think listen to their audience too much and end up kind of fucking with the experience. I think of a modern example is the jump from Returnal to Saros, where I feel like they may have listened to the online discourse of it being too difficult and drawn out, and have made Saros too tame and easy. And I feel like if they just stuck to their guns.
Have you played far into it, might I ask?
Yeah, within 5 hours I got to the ending zone. So it was a bit too easy for me, and I'm like, it feels a bit too. I don't want to talk about it too much. Wait, is your Fully Ramblo out on it yet, or is it this week?
Yeah, it's this week's.
Okay. So we won't talking it too much, so people can get your opinions from that. But yeah, I just feel like it's a bit too tame, and maybe I'm just hazarding a guess that they were looking at that response and tried to adjust for it, and I think it would have been a better experience if they stuck to their guns of the original Returnal and went more in that direction and refined that. But that's just me.
Well, you never get far trying to give people what they say they want, in my experience.
Yeah, because people don't know what they want, for sure.
No.
Well, and everyone wants different things. There is no consensus on what people want from anything. That's what's about any fucking online argument about anything. Everyone could be mad, but everyone's mad about 1,000 different things. There's no consensus of what they're mad about.
Speaking of online arguments, since we talked about Mario, should we talk about why Sonic has stuck around?
Because of its weird fan base. You struck the nail on the head.
I just wonder if there's more to it than that.
Oh, 100%. I'm taking the piss.
I think it's very rabid fan base is part of it. I think there's kind of gems even in the roughest of games. Like Sonic might have the best soundtracks, quality of soundtrack compared to quality of game of any series. Like it is wild how good the music is compared to what the core reason for the games.
And the music carries so much of the experience, right?
It's also Sonic's kind of been cool and remained a little bit cool for every new generation of people who would look at Sonic and be like, that's cool. I don't think Sonic is super cool, but I think it has managed to be cool to that same group of 12-year-olds who then grow up still enjoying it. And I think it's managed to continually pull in new. Yeah. I was going to say continually pull in new 12-year-olds, which isn't a great thing to say on a one.
Not good for praise, but
it's when you're trying. It's when you're trying to continue appealing to the same audience that has now grown on for being a 12-year-old, where Sonic makes its missteps, if you ask me.
That's where Shadow comes from, right? Like, I find it hard to hear that sentence because I do not think Sonic has ever been cool. I think it's majorly cringe. But
what are you talking about? He's got angry eyes.
Some people think it's.
I think Sonic in the 90s, I think was definitely cool, or at least posited to be cool.
Yeah, I think I missed that. I was playing on my N64 and stuff, so I didn't really get that aspect. But that's just
he was a cute animal, but with attitude.
Yeah, and one of his friends had a gun and probably smoked cigarettes.
And you have to put that in the context of the time, because at the time everything was like, Mario, family friendly, Dizzy on the Commodore 64, just a happy clappy little mascot who's just glad to be here and happy to be doing your bidding.
Happy clappy.
Got like a pot belly. I hate that design.
Yeah,
that makes me
it's also Sonic's been part of the reason I think it's maintained relevancy is diversifying its bonds. It is Sonic is 2D games, Sonic is 3D games, Sonic is spin-offs, Sonic is movies. It is very Mario. It's very much like maybe you don't get a core pillar of a game very often, but there's caulk in between all that with Sonic doesn't go anywhere. Sonic is constantly part of the conversation, even if it's a conversation you don't want to be a part of.
Sure. Yeah. Can't deny that.
I'll tell you the last ability story that I don't get. Rebellion software. Because Rebellion have been around since 1991. They're still making games.
The sniper guys?
Yeah, the Sniper Elite guys. And most of what they've made over the years has been shite.
Yeah. So what is it? What keeps them?
I don't know. They clearly the ship came in when they made Sniper Elite because most of their games of the last decade or so has been Sniper Elite sequels.
Yeah,
but but Sniper Elite they only started doing that in 2012. Before then, there was like 20 years of kind of shite before they
tie-ins. If you look at their history, it's mostly tie-ins, and I think some spin-off games, but then they struck gold with Sniper Elite.
I think partly it's tie-ins and partly it's being very business savvy, because it's certainly not because they're very good at making video games.
Yeah, they might just be really nice to work with. They might just be like a really good development or publishing partner. And honestly,
back in the day, they just did what they were told, right?
Yeah.
producers would ask for something and they'd just do it. And you know what?
Yeah.
More power to them. Like,
Yeah, it is funny because I always forget that they made Never Dead, which
Yeah.
was like a Konami debacle back then. But then
Yeah.
last year they made Adamfall, which got kind of whatever reviews. But like I just read, like Adamfall's getting the movie treatment. I'm like, okay, I guess.
Yeah.
I guess
mean, it
people
was
really liked
cool.
Adamfall.
I mean, it was surprisingly okay for a Rebellion game, but there's a lot of
Sure.
operative words in that sentence.
a lot of heavy lifting.
yeah.
Heavy lifting going on there.
It's like that old formula for success: either be really easy to work with, meet your deadlines, or be a legendary talent.
Sure,
Pick
sure.
two. Pick
Yeah.
two.
As long as you hit those two, it's fine.
Yeah.
My last, the last note I jotted down for this is it's the tough. If your franchise has been around for a long time, it is the tough tightrope to walk where you want to be evolving, right? You want to be constantly in a stage of transformation, but at the same time, you never want to be chasing trends because the second you start chasing trends, you are absolutely behind that curve.
Sony are in that hole right now with trying to
and they
get
weren't
the live
always
service.
like. I do think evolving smartly is when you see certain franchises like kind of Elden Ring take the Dark Souls formula and turn it into like a big open world game. They kind of did it using FromSoft's. They were like, we're going to do this, but we're going to do this the way FromSoft would do it, similar to Breath of the Wild. I would say God of War 2018 might have been. That was when like Sony's transition into that cinematic thing, I think, worked really well for that, and then has kind of been a little bit stuck in the mud since then.
Possibly in that case, but I think that is a classic case of what you're talking about, chasing a trend and sort of losing the established identity of the series.
Yeah, it's tough because it feels like God of War needed to evolve at that point, right? Like it feels like the 3D Kratos games had kind of run their course, and then there was that Ascension game that everyone was forgetting about, and it's like, well, what do we do with? What is this thing?
There was a ton of God of War games besides like the core series. There was Chains of
the
Olympus,
PSP games,
all of that, Ghost of Sparta.
Yeah.
So yeah, perhaps that was a little bit played out. But as you say, maybe it wasn't as played out then, but when God of War 2018 came out, the whole action adventure, squeeze down tight corridors, fight arenas, you got a constant NPC that tells you how to solve puzzles, and
that felt like we were in the eye of that storm around 2018, I think. And now, as we've passed through the other side of the storm, we're like, oh, damn, a lot of games were doing that exact same thing, weren't they? And it
always it kind of annoys me that every game has to have that Resident Evil 4 pin to the bum camera now, especially horror games. Like all the classic Resident Evil's been remade that way.
Yeah.
And when they did RE7, I was like, hooray! Resident Evil's being like, hey, we set the trend, now we're doing it again. Get on our level, scum.
Remakes.
Yeah.
Remakes really brought that back. But like the design language of how an audience can easily interact with a certain genre starts to settle, mainly because of the popularity. But I think like speaking on moving with the times, we have kind of moved past the 3D era. That transition from 2D to the 3D era was like a do or die time. I can't imagine the anxiety the developers were feeling. Like, if we do not make this transition to 3D, we're fucked. And a lot of franchises did just die because they didn't successfully make that leap. But we don't really have that anymore. I mean, we're getting lots of layoffs because of companies attempting to chase trends and failing. But we don't have those big explosions of big companies dying.
I think Hideo Kojima, who just got to that 3D line and just danced across it. Like, I started on the NES and Metal Gear's just gonna keep fucking going, and I'm just gonna make whatever the fuck I like whenever I feel like, and everyone else can just get on my level.
He's making a new espionage game, isn't he?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, with a partnership with Sony after his whatever his horror thing with Xbox is. Yeah, Metal Gear was interesting with Kojima because it felt to me like Metal Gear was just the bucket for him to do his creative therapy in at the time. So it was kind of like, I will keep this running lore of a franchise, but at the same time, I will put everything I am interested in into each new installment. And so when I become a big Cuban Missile Crisis Bond fan, that is when we'll make Snake Eater. When I'm hitting a point where I want to look back on my life and be like, what have I actually accomplished? That's when I'll make Metal Gear Solid 4, that kind of thing.
That's really exciting to people like us, right? Who in the space we're in the jobs we're in. But I think sometimes a lot of the core audience, not of Metal Gear, but just games in general, are kind of just looking for the same thing, like Pokemon being the core example there, where it sells an unbelievable amount of copies because people have that familiarity. I feel like if Pokemon tried to do something drastically different in their mainline series, I think there would be small revolts. Like, why have you done this? Why you do like a lot of people didn't like the transition into 3D with Pokemon in the mainline series, which I kind of get. Right, it is very different and does change a lot of how you navigate the world and interact with the game.
Well,
even though I think it's better for it, right?
There's that, and also the fact it kind of looks like shit, especially in the more recent examples.
It's also, I think the Pokemon problem is also partly people came aboard as a Pokemon fan at various points of the last 30 years. And so again, to them, what a Pokemon thing. Pokemon to them might be the card game, might be the anime, might be, Gen 1, Gen 5, Gen 8, that kind of thing.
Or it could be a collection of plushies they wanted so they could put it outside their bedroom door to protect them while they sleep.
Are these your kids?
Is this a reference? This is your kid wings?
Yeah,
is this your house?
My daughter loves Eevee. She's never really played a Pokemon game, or she hadn't when she first started getting into Eevees. And now she's got a bunch of Eevee toys.
Yeah.
She's got great taste.
Well,
number one Pokemon.
Well, kids that age, they sort of go through phases. They're suddenly into. They're suddenly Eevees are sort of fallen by the wayside, and she's into super kitties now.
Yeah, mate. You say kids, I still go through phases like that. I'm like, I'm super into this one thing right now, and then no, it's dead to me. Now I love super kitties.
Oh yeah, that's how being a kid was 100%. Moving on to whatever the next thing is.
Yeah.
Any more points to make before we go to super chats?
No, I think we solved it. I think all the franchises are good now.
Okay, so now everyone knows how to last lots and lots of decades as a franchise, and so you can all get on with that. All right then. Blue McNeil gives $2 and says timing.
It's good goof. Good goof.
Fuzzy freestyling.
The first one.
Regards.
It's good goof.
Yes. And then Raven comes with the weekly word of the week. Week 50, obsequious. Now, surely we all know what obsequious means.
Of course.
Please?
Yes, it means fawning. Sort of toady like.
A toady?
And I appreciate it as a word because it's a word with 4 vowels in a row.
Isn't that illegal? I thought as a kid someone told me that was illegal.
No. You can have as many vowels in a row as you want, theoretically. Damn. I can't think of any examples of words with 5 vowels in a row.
Let's make one.
Someone will get it in chat.
Next week's topic will be us trying to figure out a word with 5 vowels in a row.
Can we? Yeah, let's not do that. Can you get someone else in for the word?
Okay,
word episode.
We'll get Jack.
Yeah, or Jess.
Yeah, the dyslexic one. Sinos the Hedgehog gives $2. Says depends solely on fans. That's how Sonic stays alive. That and the angry eyes.
I don't think it depends. I don't think it depends just on fans.
Well, I got to think the fans have got to wane over time. That's got to be like a diminishing resource.
Yeah.
Oh, Eric just posted queuing. Queuing, that's got 5 vowels in a row. Good thinking, Eric.
With all of this stuff that we've just discussed, I actually think a lot of this depends on the size of the franchise. Because Mario, Sonic, Pokemon all have the size where if they release a weird little side project, they're not going to go under if it doesn't do well. But like if you are a mid-sized team where you spend 5 years on a project and it bombs because it's very different, you're fucked. Like your company might be dead. So they don't have the freedom to do that. So they stay the same. So I think the size of the franchise itself kind of allows these teams to be different and keep it fresh. So it's kind of a curse, really.
It also feels like certain things are just too big to fail at this point. Like,
no, I think once you reach a certain level of notoriety, you're basically guaranteed for life. I mean, people who know nothing about video games have heard the name Sonic the Hedgehog and
Sure.
know the name Sonic the Hedgehog and can associate it with video games.
I
Very
think Assassin's
few.
Creed is there too.
I'm not sure. I don't think Assassin's Creed is anywhere near Sonic's level on that side of things.
Yeah,
I
not
once
like
heard-
size-wise, but I think a lot of people do know it, and they can release meh games for 20 years.
I mean, Bill Hicks referenced Sonic the Hedgehog in one of his routines in the 90s.
Chili dogs and whatnot.
And that's like literally the only video game Bill Hicks ever referenced. Do you think Sonic having angry eyes is why they kept adding angry eyes to Kirby in American box arts? Just a thought.
Yeah. Yeah. Apparently they had
Just
to have
thinking-
had like evidence somewhere that like people won't buy games where the characters look nice. They only want to buy games where the characters look nice.
What is it? The Mega Man box art with him as a human with a gun.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Hex gives £5 and says, a la Resi's 4 and 7, don't be afraid to shift gears and try a new direction, or surgically conjoin two directions together, a la Resi 9.
There you go.
Yeah, you could do that, but at the same time, if that doesn't go well, you've basically just brought the series to a screeching halt.
Yeah, that's the tough thing, especially in a mainline entry. If you try a big swing, that is, that's kind of like a sink or swim moment, I think.
Do you think RE9 is going to be a sink or a swim?
I think a swim. I think it's been, commercially done really well, and I think critically done well enough to where I think the Resident Evil franchise is probably as strong as it's honestly ever been.
It's hard to say.
With the new
'cause-
movie coming out?
It's hard to say because RE9 is such a mixed experience. It's got some high highs and low lows.
Yeah.
Yeah, but I don't think
Highs are
general
front-loaded,
audiences...
which is good.
Yeah, agreed. I completely agree. But I also think general audiences don't like. It sounds terrible. They don't think that deep in terms of like, they're just happy to kick things with Leon and be spooked. So I think this is a high point for the franchise.
Oh no, I think that's absolutely spot on. I think part of it is like I think our audience tends to be more hardcore than the general audience. Obviously, if you're
Agreed.
listening or watching, consuming our takes on games. But it's always good to keep in mind that like 90% of the people who buy these games are not a part of these conversations and usually just like whatever they buy.
Yeah.
All right, here comes the big one. Gives $49.99 American dollars, big magenta super chat, and says the latest Patreon vid was worth the price of admission. I made a playlist of most of the tracks. Eric, please cue up the Kratos My Life Is Yours meme to make this a recurring series.
Yes.
Yes, tell us about the latest Patreon video you did, Marty.
Yeah, over the weekend, one of our monthly group vids went up. That was myself, Eric, Nick, Jesse Schwab, and Casey. And we went around in a circle twice, and it was kind of like a show and tell of video game music. We each brought one song to the table that adhered to a specific theme, and then one song that we just really enjoyed. And we just listened to a minute of each one and kind of just talked about them. There was no points. It wasn't who brought the best songs. Feedback on that was really positive. Definitely want to redo that. Do that again, and with different folks who weren't able to be a part of the first one, like Jay and Yachts and Jack and other folks.
Got a lot to say.
Yes,
Count me in. I know you always do. Never
Look
shut
for
up,
that
you
in your
asshole.
future. Hell yeah.
Yes. So yes, we do regular Patreon exclusive videos. You have to be a Patreon member to see them. I just did a lore read, one of my videos where I read out the lore of a video game in a slightly sarcastic way, which people seem to like. That was Dead by Daylight was the most recent one.
Yeah, written by Jess, and then Jay did a big kind of a watch along to Labyrinth, your favorite.
I'm obsessed with Labyrinth, and I did a Patreon exclusive video of what it's like to watch Labyrinth with me, but a little bit more non-shy. It's like a running commentary, so you can watch Labyrinth with me if you want as well.
Yeah, so check those out.
$5. So if you're interested in that, or just interested in making sure we stay alive as a business,
hell yeah,
because got to pay the bills somehow. Go to
We need you.
patreon.com/Second Wind Group. That's Second Wind Group. I think there's another thing that's just Second Wind, but that's not us.
Don't give them money, those monsters.
No.
Yeah. Tsunami Doucher gives $20. Oh, all the old hits.
Hey,
And says nothing.
thanks, Doucher.
And then BS Marsh gives $2 and says, terrific video, Jay. I'm sorry I voted for Final Fantasy VIII.
Yeah,
How are you going to
it
know
should
you
be.
hate something until you've played it, though? Think about that.
No, they warned
right.
me. they all went, I can't wait for you to play Final Fantasy VIII. It's so shit. And I'm like, ah. And then the vote like absolutely smashed the other game. And I'm like, oh God. Yeah. Thank you for the kind words. I had a lot of fun making that video and streaming it, but that game is fucking wank.
Mr. Sadface gives $5 and says Mortal Kombat would feel fresh if they threw out the whole roster, and Zelda would feel fresh if they gave us old Link that spoke like Clint Eastwood. See, the problem with throwing out the whole roster, Mr. Sadface, is then it wouldn't be Mortal Kombat, would it? Because fighting games are sort of purely character-driven. That's kind of all they can be, because they're just lists of characters. And basically every legacy fighting game, you'll notice there's very few brand new fighting games with brand new rosters, but all of them that are successful are legacy games.
Yeah.
Because it's hard to, get that sort of foothold in people's memories, their affections.
You'd have to have like a brand new, unique take on the genre. I mean, like the last one I can think of that really did anything meaningful was For Honor, when they were like trying to just do it in a completely different way, but with the fighting game formula. Other than that, yeah, you just, I want to play as subbed Zero Punch.
Yeah, it was I believe Street Fighter 3, which is clearly not as big as 2, but it was one of those where I think Ryu and Ken were the only returning characters.
Chun-Li as well, I think.
Maybe Chun-Li, yeah, but like
wow.
By and large, a bunch of new fighters, which that's always a kind of tough thing. Do you really want to throw out the baby with the bathwater?
Some were cool, and like made it to like future Street Fighter sequels.
Yeah,
but yeah. Rule of thumb is have like all the old classics, introduce like 4 or 5 new dudes, and maybe someone will get attached. The only other thing you can do with fighting games is base it on established IP, like the Injustice games.
Yeah, or even Smash, like just be like
Invincible Versus just came out, right?
That's right.
Oh yes,
yeah.
Yes. Anyway,
and I guess Mortal Kombat's done the like pull the ripcord. Let's just reboot this, right? Like literally,
like 3 times.
Yeah. At that point, you're like, is this? Does it feel like it's almost like the boy who cried wolf at that point?
Yeah. Fist Up and Erg is $5 and says the golden formula of save the princess stroke world by proving yourself worthy and or the power of friendship to kill God. Add jank and we can connect better. Okay, make every video game like that in future games.
That sounds great. It sounds like it's just Mario plus Persona plus Kojima, which sounds great.
Yeah, that's just all video games from now on.
Yeah.
Fusionator gives $5 and says, Yahtzee, do you play any other crosswords besides New York Times that you recommend? The LA Times is the hardest one to me, and USA Today is good for my morning. So yeah, I've kind of gone off basic crosswords. I basically only do cryptic crosswords now. I've been enjoying doing the Globe and Mail cryptic crosswords and occasionally the Guardian cryptic crossword as well. I like the cleverer wordplay. I like the looks on people's faces when I try to explain to them how to solve a specific clue in a cryptic crossword.
You've evolved. It's become
Are those all British publications? Do you find that British crossword puzzles have any difference to them than American crossword puzzles?
Well, I have actually heard cryptic crosswords referred to as British-style crosswords, so yeah.
There you go.
Globe and Mail is a Canadian newspaper, though.
Gotcha. My mistake.
Yes. Where was I? The Brain Sturgeon gives €6. Says Jermaine's Final Fantasy VIII review reminded me of Noah the Spoony Experiment Antweiler and his Final Fantasy review series. Has any of you seen it? Yes, I saw it because I used to like his videos before he, dropped off.
That's one way of putting it.
That sentence
Spoony.
was ominous, though.
Yeah, he's, video game YouTube, the classic formula. But he kind of lost his mind, like so often they do.
Listen, you spend too much time on the internet. Somehow, Yahtzee, you're one of the few people who haven't lost your mind.
I know. I know. I'm amazed how long I've lasted.
Yeah, it's kind of nuts.
If I remember, correctly as well. Carry on.
Focus on putting out a consistent product, and maybe get married and have some kids. That'll keep you stable.
And take a step back from all the online discourse of everything.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Simon the Hedgehog gives $5. Says, you lads heard about the mixtape controversy lately? Never seen all this hate towards an interactive movie before. Fucking Desert Bus is more engaging. I haven't heard, but I did hear it this morning in our morning meeting when you brought it up as possibly something to play for future review purposes.
Mm-hmm.
So what's the actual? What are the specifics of this controversy? Let me know.
It's incredibly fucking boring to me, but it is. So this is the second game by Beethoven and Dinosaur. Their first game was The Artful Escape, which was like a
that was quite
musical
good.
2D. Yeah. So this is more of a 3D. This kind of plays out like a third person Life is Strange, Gone Home kind of thing. Published by Annapurna. You can tell a lot of the budget went to the licensed soundtrack. It is very much like a late 80s, early 90s soundtrack. I think you'll really like the soundtrack, Yachts. It's just like a 4-hour kind of like walking simulator, coming of age story with little mini games to the songs. It is a completely harmless game that a fraction of the internet has lost their goddamn mind about.
Right. Yes. Well, the red flags there are walking simulator, Annapurna, and coming of age.
Sure, but
when you say all that,
we get those often. The reason this one has caused people to lose their minds is beyond me. I don't know why. They're mad because IGN gave it a 10, and they said they were paid off, which, again, if IGN were ever paid off a review, you would hear it from one of the hundreds of former IGN employees, myself included.
Well, as we say, there's been a lot of these sorts of things. Maybe it's just a case of straw breaking the camel's back.
It's a case of people being terminally online, literally having their brains rotten and needing something to argue about because they can't find enjoyment in actually playing games anymore. So it's genuinely broken people, I think.
Yeah, for sure. And also learn as a human being to look at something and go, that's not for me.
Very easy to do. Incredibly easy to do.
Like, I understand that game, I wouldn't enjoy it. No. But that doesn't mean that it's a bad fucking game. It's not for me. It's an experience that wouldn't speak to me. So I just don't talk about it. Like, people just have to be mad about everything.
I mean, by the sounds of it, it's not much of a game at all. So yeah, I'd probably raise my eyebrow.
That's the other controversy, is that it practically plays itself. Like, you can, there are large sections of the game where you don't need to do any. You can put the controller down and it will effectively. It feigns that you're playing it, but it's actually doing it itself. But like, I made a video about it. Astrobot's kind of like that. So
I mean, obviously, I don't believe any paying off happened because, I'm a professional games journalist. I understand how it works. So that just makes it all the weirder to me that you'd give it 10 out of 10 when it's not really
one person really liked it. It just really
spoke to that one
them.
person. Yeah.
Okay, fine.
Because people forget that our IGN is like a group of distinct voices, not just one huge, company. It spoke to that one person, but people are just like, oh my God, IGN.
Anyway. Zaratha gives $10 says, I like when sequels do something totally different, like FF8 has a different stat management system and was better than FF7 for it. Stares gleefully at Jamate. Only British people understand the V sign, Jay.
Oh, really? Oh, sorry.
Isn't this a peace sign? What is the V sign?
No, that's a peace sign.
Yeah,
that means like piss off.
Sign. Yeah, this is British for piss off.
Oh.
Yeah. But like with that, Zaratha, and this is true because you were there for the streams, I agree. Like this video I just made ends with like, I'm glad they swung and missed because I value that way more than FF7 1.5, right? Like, I'd rather they fucking try something different. But also that stat management system is wank. I will die on this hill.
All right then. Cyber Excalibur gives £10. Says best way to keep something fresh is for the team to resign, go independent, and then stretch your wings without bumholes in charge. Fly free, you crazy fools. Oh, he's talking about us. I thought he was talking about us.
The worry is, I think it works great for us, a lot of independent media outlets. I think it's a little tougher when it comes to like, how many times have we been like, oh, this is a new studio from the creators of X, Y, or Z? And a lot of times that thing, like the Callisto Protocol, doesn't reach the heights of your Dead Space. Mighty Number 9.
Callisto Protocol was only made by one of the two developers of Dead Space, who presumably not the talented one.
Well, and again, that's them trying to be like, hey, we made this thing, let's try and redo this thing wholesale, basically, but failed to do that. But if you look at the developers who left Ubisoft and made Clair Obscur and just made something completely different and weird, that was a massive success, right? So it goes back to, are you going to play it safe and try and remake something to obtain that audience, or to just do something weird with talented people? It's a huge gamble. Like, I think there is an alternate reality where Clair Obscur, which released the same day as the Elder Scrolls Oblivion remaster that was shadow dropped, where that game just got buried and nobody played it whatsoever. But they lucked out, and because it was so good, right? So it's all a risk.
Is Toffee on camera, by the way?
Yeah.
Can you see his little head? Because I just wanted to.
It kind of looked like honestly, kind of looked like a lump of sheets.
I just thought I might give him a little hat to enjoy.
Okay, now.
What is that hat?
It's a little ice cream. It's a little ice cream cup. I sometimes bring small snacks like sultanas.
Oh
in.
yeah. What a cute.
Yeah, he's just gonna wear that now forever.
Beautiful.
He looks like Tommy Cooper in a fez.
Because removing it would require getting off his fucking ass.
Yeah.
Never.
Anyway, Sinus the Hedgehog gives $5, says Crash went from tropical islands to Ice Age to time travel to dimensional travel. Not sure where to take the franchise from there unless space has space. Well, you say that, but Mario did Mario Galaxy and then went to Mario Odyssey, which is technically smaller than space, but still felt like a bigger game.
Mm-hmm. But again, kept a core team that kept building upon itself, as opposed to Crash, which went from, one studio to another publisher to rights were lost for a while. Also, Crash did the thing which I love of just pretending that the bad ones didn't exist by making a Crash 4 a few years ago. I always like that when they're like, fuck it, we're just making the next numbered one and we're going to forget everything that happened in between it. And usually it's not great. It's like, this is Sonic 4. Everyone's going to love Sonic 4. This is Tony Hawk 5. Everyone will love Tony Hawk 5.
Well, GTA 4 worked out.
GTA 4 did work out. That is true. Exceptions to all the rules. Yeah.
Of course. Tommy Dear North gives $5 Canadian and says Mortal Kombat couldn't keep themselves fresh with their Hollywood crap like Megan Fox and Ghostface. Also, Fox's Dr. Squatch ads are annoying.
Dr. Squatch?
Dr. Squatch?
I don't know
Who's
what
Dr.
he's
Squatch?
talking about.
Fox is Dr. Squatch.
Is that
Fox
Megan Fox
McCloud?
again? Megan Fox?
Oh, Megan Fox. I was thinking of Fox McCloud.
Okay.
I'm always thinking about Fox McCloud. Yahtzee, you excited for the new Star Fox? What's your temperature on Star Fox? You like that space critter?
The only one I've played is Star Fox Zero, and I thought it sucked.
Great. Good to know.
Okay, so I will play this new Star Fox, and this will be Star Fox's chance.
All right,
This
Fox,
will be his
don't
big
fuck this
chance to impress me.
Do you know what Star Fox's friends are named? Slippy Toad? Do you know about Slippy Toad?
I'm aware of Slippy Toad. I'm aware that there is also a rabbit, and there's also a bird.
Yeah, Peppy Hare and Falco Lombardi. He's a bit of the Raphael of the group. He's kind of like a Rube.
Eric, I love that image of the taxidermy fox in the cockpit. It's so good.
Uncanny Valley. Sanus the Hedgehog gives $2. Says, as long as you don't pull a Jack and Daxter and go edgy. Yeah, it's another case of trying to age with the audience, I suspect.
Yeah.
Prince Persia.
But it was also the era. It was also the era because that was like that 2000s era. Everything's grim and new metal and Marilyn Manson.
Yeah, GTA 3 post 9/11 Iraq War. Honestly, that was just in all media. Everything was kind of darker.
Yeah.
FF8 is about moody teenagers. Like they try and do that, and I think that resonates for the audience who are that age. Mm-hmm. But it really doesn't if you're slightly younger or like just a bit older.
I'm going to call that whole era the Black Parade.
The Black Parade era? Good.
I love it. I love it.
Blistered Soul gives $1.99. Says GTA mechanic complexity will detail commentary. Okay.
I guess how GTA has stayed relevant.
Well, it evolves with the times, right?
Yeah, and not overloading us. I mean, you could argue that during that PS2 era, we were getting almost one every year. But since then, I think part of the reason, GTA 6 is going to be so big is it's been literally 13 years since GTA 5. Granted, there's been a million online things, but, it kind of makes an event.
Just a good formula, really.
Mm-hmm. Especially like we've talked about before, it doesn't seem like the GTA competitors really exist anymore.
No, the GTA-style sandbox has given way to the Ubisoft-style sandbox in more recent times. But the GTA imitator used to be a big thing.
Only the brave games like Mind's
Simpsons
Eye.
Hit and Run.
Mind's Eye.
Streets of LA.
Mind's Eye.
Well, Mind's Eye is the example of a game similar to the Dead Space devs breaking off, of them being like, hey, I made this thing that you liked, I'm going to do it, but better. But like, nobody looks at GTA and goes, wow, I wish there was this, but better. It's like, we have GTA at home.
Yeah.
Also, Sleeping Dogs. Sleeping Dogs was a good
Love
GTA
Sleepy
clone.
Dogs.
I like Sleeping Dogs.
Good Sleepy Dogs.
I think that was actually like at one point going to be part of the True Crime Streets of Such and Such series, but they decided to break off into its own
True
thing.
Crime Hong Kong.
Have they been doing a movie for that for the longest time? Sleeping Dogs.
I
Yeah, supposedly
don't know.
Simo Liu, the guy who played Shang-Chi.
Shang-Chi, yeah.
Yeah.
King and Commoner gives $5. Says, I think Sonic stays around because when the games work as intended, they are really fun to play and look at. That just only happens around 40% of the time,
40% is generous.
possibly.
I like it when he goes first.
Silence the Hedgehog gives $5. Says, learned fun fact, Sega wanted its jingle out of Sonic games because it took up 1/8 of the cartridge space, but Yuji Naka said jingles are needed for the Genesis brand.
The voice saying Sega took up an eighth of the cartridge.
That's crazy.
I love that.
I'm not sure I believe that. I'm going to need some...
I mean, it's kind of like the whole thing of like a JPEG of a screenshot of Super Mario 1 is like 10 times the size of Super Mario 1.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, that's just, tech.
Yeah.
That's tech for you.
Fun fact.
King and Commoner comes back with $5. Says 40% is a very generous average, and no game is good more than 60% of the time.
No game's good more than 60%. Oh, no Sonic game.
Pish posh.
I thought
Pish,
that was
pish,
no game
posh.
ever.
Oh, okay.
I'm assuming he means no Sonic game because that would be the hottest take. No game is over 60% good.
You'll have to argue with the mainstream games press on that one.
Or us.
Covered in sponges is $2. Says obligatory Elder Scrolls joke, decades old franchise. See, I think Elder Scrolls is kind of done as a concept. I think every new one that came out, it was sort of like the showing off how much gaming technology could do with like a big old open world fantasy for that era. And I think at this point, open worlds are just overdone, that no one's really impressed by them anymore. I think that was like what Elder Scrolls was banking off up until this point.
But speaking of franchise size, tell that to 6 when it drops and it sells a million bajillion copies, because the general gamer will think of Skyrim as one of the biggest games and best games ever, because that's one of the free things played in the last 15 years.
But
it
what
is going to be
more could it possibly do with the formula?
Nothing. I agree with you, but the general consumer won't. They'll just buy it, right?
We've talked about that before, about how like Skyrim hit before fantasy open world really codified. It helped codify it, whereas since then we've had Witcher 3 and Elden Ring and Breath of the Wild and Kingdom Come Deliverance and Baldur's Gate 3. So like all very different games, but it just feels like, they're going to have to do something. I do think it will have, regardless of reviews or everything, it will have an initial wave of like everyone who bought Skyrim grabbing this, but I'm curious, like it'd be hard for me to fathom the game being as big as Skyrim, just because very few games are as big as Skyrim.
Yeah. I also think, I just don't think. Well, let's just move on.
Yeah.
You know what I don't think.
I know a lot of things you don't think.
Sinos the Hedgehog gives $2. Says, as a horror fan, do you mourn author Koji Suzuki? Well, I didn't, because I'd never heard of him, but then I looked him up, and he was the dude who wrote the original novel of Ring that would become Ringu.
That's
Ringu.
right. And Spiral and everything,
Wow.
Dark Water.
Yeah.
He's kind of the
it,
author
though.
of Japanese horror.
Yeah. He did
Well,
the
legend.
Ring.
Did he pass? Rest in peace.
Yeah, he's dead, like very recently.
Oh,
Like
rest
maybe
in
8,
peace.
like a few days ago.
Oh, what a shame.
He won the Bram Stoker Award for Lifetime Achievement in 2022. Well, how about that?
Bram Stoker's still giving out awards?
Yeah, to world's best
I
Dracula.
know. I mean, it's kind of crazy considering there's only really one book that he's really famous for, like Ringu.
But what?
Oh, I thought you were talking about Bram Stoker.
No, well, same is true, I suppose.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Anyway, Karuta Cowboy, member for 29 months in the value tier, says unrelated, but wanted to check out some indie games from this year. Which would you 3 each recommend? I think my favorite from this year so far is still Cairn in terms of indie games.
Let me open Steam.
So
and look.
I would recommend that.
Been banging on about this relatively new one, Titanium Court, for a while.
Oh,
which
yeah,
I
I've been
really
playing
enjoy.
that.
Yeah, kind of like a narrative-driven, part match 3, part auto battler.
And it's got a very Douglas Adams-y sense of humor. or possibly you might say G.K. Chesterton, the man who was Thursday, style, sense of humor. So yes, there's that. Just looking
Jay
at what else
recommends
I've
Final
reviewed
Fantasy
this year.
But yeah, I'm just looking. I haven't really played many indies within the beginning of this year. A lot of the ones I have been playing are just weird RPGs like Fear and Hunger. So if you want to have a bad time, play Fear and Hunger.
There you go. Mark Maynard gives €5. Says, I am fascinated by the Yakuza stroke Lad franchise, Like a Dragon. I think they survive by reusing assets and a unique style combining comedy and drama in small open worlds.
I think they smartly reuse assets in a way I feel like more games should.
Yeah. They do, but I kind of think you only ever need to play one of those games. Because then
to
you
kind of
sort
like get what they're going for.
Yeah, then you sort of get the joke. I mean, maybe also play the pirate one.
The same for mainline Mario games, though, right? You kind of know what you're going to get. So, like, if you do enjoy that Yakuza formula, you know that when a new one comes out, you know what you're going to get, and it's kind of comfortable, right?
Yeah, but I feel like if you do a really deep dive in all the games, you soon find that the side quests all tend to get a bit samey.
That's the thing, is it's like if you like one Yakuza or Like a Dragon game, it's kind of like it's easy to kind of recommend them all. If you don't like one of them, it's kind of hard to recommend any of them because it is like they're just kind of all
they kind of all have the same broad plot as well. It's always main character investigates victimized innocent person. Turns out there's a conspiracy to take over Japan. Everyone takes their shirts off and has a big fight on a rooftop.
Yeah. Stranger, their new game, Stranger Than Paradise. They showed off last week, which I'm really intrigued by. That's the one. It's set in like the Yakuza universe because they talk about the Tojo clan being formed, but it is set in 5 different cities in Japan at different points throughout the early 1900s, and it has a deep Stranger Than Heaven, not Stranger Than Paradise. Apologies, I fuck that up all the time because there's a Final Fantasy game called Stranger Than Paradise.
There's something else called Stranger of Paradise. There's something else called Strangers in Paradise. There's something else called Strangers.
So Stranger Than Heaven. But the big thing about it is your character is a musician, and you have the ability to almost glom onto sounds in the environment and save them, and then you use those sounds in. It seems like a lot of the mini games involve like starting a band and opening up a club and that kind of thing.
Cool.
And so you record sounds where it's like a bunch of birds eating bird seeds. You can record that sound. A guy in the middle of combat gets his knife stuck in wood and is trying to pull it out. You can record that sound and then use those sounds, which
that's awesome.
Yeah, I don't know. Feels cool. I'm curious to see how it actually unfolds as a mechanic.
Oh, I want to play that. That sounds great.
Excited. They said it's coming out this winter, so I don't know if that means end of the year or beginning of next year.
Doran Grossman Naples gives $5 and says, I pointed out Sonic's head on a dumpster logo to my friend, and they had no idea who Sonic was until another friend brought up the movie. They're 20. Oh God, what a horrifying thought.
I think this is the secret. Can't have 20-year-old friends.
The 20-year-olds
can't have 20-year-olds.
The 20-year-olds don't know what Sonic is.
No. What are we gonna do?
James Bevan gives $4.99 says, Yahtzee, if you haven't come up with your picks for the Summer Games drought yet, might I suggest Banjo-Tooie as a possible candidate? Well, keep hammering that nail in the Discord, because I think what usually happens is that Nick goes to Discord and says, hey, someone suggest the candidates for the Games Drought pick list, and then we just go from there.
Also,
well, I know one thing I'm going to request gets added to it this year, and that's Thief: The Black Parade.
Yeah,
because I already downloaded it, and I want an excuse to play it.
Is that of the Black Parade era?
The edgy era, early 2000s?
Yeah.
No.
I will say, I'm one of the world's biggest Banjo-Kazooie fans. I fucking hate Banjo-Tooie.
Wow, really?
Yeah, I think it's a very bad sequel.
Ooh.
The Final Fantasy VIII of Banjo-Kazooie games.
Sussy Guru 2000 gives €5 and says, to rebut Yahtzee in his last video, Fallout 3 and onwards had the best hacking minigame. Well, let's agree to disagree, Sussy Guru.
That's the word puzzle one? Kind of the Wordle one?
Yeah, referencing my last semi-emblematic on hacking minigames. Just generally what they are, what they're for, and how they're shit. And how they're good. Just covering the whole spectrum, really.
Yeah.
Ryan Betts, member for 27 months in the tip jar, and then comes along with $2 to say the Bible felt fresher after the AD soft reboot. Now, we all remember what AD stands for, don't we,
After
Jay?
death.
After death.
No, it doesn't.
Orcs Domini? Oxytocin?
Orcs Domini.
Orcs Domini. That sounds like a sound setting on a TV.
Well, I'm a sound designer.
It's Anno Domini. Anno meaning year, as in annual.
Anno Domini.
So, and the Domini means
Of our Lord. The year of our Lord.
the year of our Lord.
Domini
Well.
as in dominion, to lord over thing. That's why dominoes are called that. See, we're learning things.
We are, and I'm glad. I will forget by next episode, and you should ask again.
Frankie Johnson, a member for 29 months in the Green Gang, says patents hold freshness back. I thought that was the foil seal that does that, Frankie Johnson.
Got to keep it fresh. That was a good one.
Is something inherently fresh if it's using a system from something that would be patented? Isn't that the opposite of freshness?
Oh, I think
Kinda like
I
that.
think I don't know. I think what he's saying is the patenting the Nemesis system in Shadow
Stops
of
people,
War.
iterating.
I don't know if
I
that's
agree with
freshness,
that.
is it? Is cribbing another system? I do agree. I think we all agree patents are bad, but
Agreed.
Oh no,
Freshness
Toffee's lost his hat.
oh no.
No!
He moved.
I think patents can stop that innovation in individual systems, but it also allows developers to have to think of creative new things that they can do. So I think it does both. I think it's there's two sides to that
Well,
coin.
sometimes the process of finding a new way to do something is to iterate on it a little bit at a time.
But if you iterate so much that it's not infringing on a patent, right? Then that's fine.
Sometimes you got to put something out to see if it works. So you got to iterate it a little bit, and then put it out and see if people still like it. Then iterate it a little bit more, then put that
Then
out.
get sued by Nintendo.
Then get sued by
And then-
Nintendo. That's the
Then
Tank
get
your
sued by
career.
Nintendo. Yeah.
Anyway, Silent Hedgehog gives $5 and says, had a better idea. If Nintendo must remake Star Fox 64, make it in the perspective of Star Wolf, as well as adding in some quality of life features and new gimmicks.
I like that. A little angry
Okay.
wolf. Can we really like? I don't know if Star Fox's story is like deep enough for us to be like. Now we need to explore like the evil side of it and see what
How
goes
popular
into.
is Star Fox? That's my question. Like, because I always think of it as one of the Nintendo's pillars, but they barely touch it.
He was in the movie. He
Yeah,
was
I
in
think the
recent
secret
Mario
about
movie.
Nintendo's pillars is like aside from Mario, Zelda, Kart, and Smash, and Animal Crossing, all of their pillars are relatively niche. Like Metroid's kind of niche. Star Fox is kind of
Yeah.
niche. Earthbound
What
is
about
kind of
Pokemon?
niche.
Kirby.
That kind of doesn't count. That's its like own. That's its
Say
own.
Kirby's
genre.
niche.
I think
there's
I'd
a
say
lot of-
Kirby's a little niche.
I
Yeah.
suspect a lot of the reason why Star Fox still has any identity at all is thanks to Smash.
I mean, that's a great point. Yeah, like especially being one of the 8 original Smashies.
Yeah, it's the only reason anyone remembers Ice Climbers as well.
Yeah.
Anyway, Kite M gives 5,000 CLPs and says, it seems the issue with regards to Mixtape is that it's got 85 Metacritic when it's a walking simulator with a not particularly great story. Think adults trying to write teenagers, which makes you question continued. And then gives another 5,000 and says, what are these journalists even about? It also presents itself as this twee scrappy indie thing when IRL it's a billionaire Nepo baby project with fully licensed soundtrack, big marketing push, etc. Well,
Okay.
now you've described it.
Can
Yeah,
I-
that does sound pretty grating.
The billionaire Nepo thing is Annapurna Interactive, which was started by Megan Ellison of the Ellisons. Her family fucking sucks, but she uses her money for incredible video games. Like this is the without Annapurna, we wouldn't have gotten What Remains of Edith Finch, wouldn't have gotten Donut County, Outer Wilds, Neon White, Stray, Cocoon, Wanderstop. Like they've published 100 games over the past decade. So the fact that people are clearly like honing in on that for this game in particular. Also, when a lot of this feedback, I'm not saying you, Kite, a lot of this feedback is from right-wing grifters, so it's very funny to say, like, oh, this is only here because of a Nepo baby, when that's the fucking only reason our government is where it is.
I mean, I think billionaires shouldn't exist and we should try as hard as we can to avoid giving them more money is also a valid standpoint.
Sure. Then we need to stop playing video games.
Yeah, then stop buying Call of Duty. Stop buying
using Steam.
any AAA game. Like I think
fully
it's
on board.
stupid.
Yeah.
I think
We
it's
should
a
all go
stupid
back
argument.
to go back to downloading indie games like fucking Cave Story off the creator's actual website.
Yeah.
I also think that the argument of it's got a high Metacritic score, and what are those critics and journalists on about? It's like that score is for this game within its genre and how it affected those people individually. Just because it's got a high score does not mean that if you play it, you are going to like it. That's not how fucking reviews work.
Also,
right?
outlets tend to give a game like this to a person at the site who likes those kinds of games. You give a strategy game to someone who likes strategy games. I would never review an RTS because I fucking don't like that genre. But they're giving this game to people who like those capital E experiences. Whether you like the writing or not, whether you like the amount of interactivity or not, are completely like just it's a moot point to this. And to kind of like the whole thing here is trying to proclaim that there's a vast conspiracy that dozens of critics at outlets and hundreds of their coworkers got together to be like, okay, Annapurna Interactive is paying us off. What do you think the amount is that they paid everyone off? Do you think they paid off IGN more than they paid off a smaller YouTuber? Like, what do we actually think is going on?
Is it they paid everyone off, or is it that somehow all games journalists that are millennials are probably obsessed with nostalgia?
Yeah. And a lot of these reviews are coming from white people who grew up in like the 80s, 90s, aughts who have like an extreme nostalgia, which that is totally that's like totally an argument we can have of like, we need to stop with this 80s, 90s suburban white nostalgia because that is fucking everything and everywhere now. But I just think to like, if it was so easy to get a 10 out of 10 from IGN that you could pay, why doesn't every game do it? Like, why is that just not the go-to the marketing budget? Yeah.
Well, slight counterpoint. Did you watch Dan Olsen's most recent video on Mr. Beast?
I watched the first one,
yet.
And then there was a second one, and I'm like, I don't want to watch any more about Mr. Beast.
And he made the case that while obviously people don't get bribed for good reviews, there is a culture of sort of whining and dining the press.
Sure.
Yeah.
And obviously, if something is like granting of access can be can almost unconsciously make a reviewer be kinder to the subject matter than they would normally be.
Unless you're me, because most of the press things I've been to, they have fed me terribly, and then I don't cover their shit.
They fed me terribly, and I got
No, I've been to a press event where I didn't eat. They set up a buffet for all of the press, but then took us to like another event quickly. And by the time we'd got back, the entire dev team had eaten the entire buffet. We didn't have food. They didn't feed us.
That's what happened with me and Itagaki. Itagaki ate our breakfast at E3. I'll never forgive never forgive that man. The end. Rant over.
Man, I remember we went to like that Nintendo Indie World and they had this whole fucking catered breakfast and we couldn't stay and eat all of it because we had to run off to another fucking thing at GDC.
Yeah, I was jealous you got to go to that indie one. That was the GDC I was with you, right?
Yeah. Anyway, waiting for Viva Pinata to... Oh, sorry, missed one. Just existing 45, member for 27 months in the Green Gang. Says, sad to have missed live. Love you guys.
Oh, thanks, just existing.
And then waiting for Viva Pinata says, it's crazy that we're getting a third Star Fox remake before Beyond Good and Evil 2. This must be interesting news for Jay, right? I find it crazy that game didn't get cancelled yet. It'll be a quintuple A game if released. I think less time has passed since the last Star Fox game than has passed since the last Beyond Good and Evil game.
Yeah, because Star Fox had a fresh Wii U game.
Yeah, on the Wii U, and it sucked.
Yeah.
Beyond Good and Evil's longest development time of any game ever. It's... Yeah, I'm still crossing my fingers. It's coming.
Well, yeah, you keep them crossed. Forever. Waiting for Viva Pinata then gives another 100 asses and says, also, if Sonic Frontiers Definitive Edition is a thing, do you think Eric would stream it? We always hear about him and the franchise in podcasts, but never from him, lol.
I believe Eric talks about, if you're at our $5 tier and above, you can watch our episode of our music show, Hey Listen, in which several Sonic songs are played.
Oh,
I think two.
Horse.
Did you play Mystic Cave Zone from Sonic 2?
No.
Oh, that's my favorite one.
That's a good one. See, Sonic 2 got good music.
Yeah, that one.
It's good tunes.
And then Just Existing comes back with $5. Says, we'll listen to whole podcast when playing Starstruck on PS5 later. Aside, which you can do now because it's out on PlayStation and Xbox. Thank you guys for the constant content and company to fill life with some joy.
Thank you for the constant support, and that goes to all of you. We literally couldn't do this without you, so thank you.
And that's it for Super Chats, for now at least. So why don't we start wrapping up? Thanks for listening to the Windbreakers podcast. Always here on Mondays. We are as consistent as the tides or the film industry experimenting with 3D in cinemas every 20 years or so.
Next time's going to be the time it really clicks, though. Don't worry.
Yeah. I was Yahtzee Crowshaw, joined by Jay and Marty as always. If you like Yahtzee Crowshaw specific stuff, my fully ramblomatic review this week is on the subject of Saros, the new PS5 exclusive that's not Returnal. Stop saying that. And I will also have my weekly stream, Yahtzee Tries, on Wednesday. I'm going to play at least one game with a frog in it. And then they'll obviously on Sunday will come the Yahtzee Tries compilation video where I give my little reviews and cut together the funny bits from the streams. So
how many weeks in a row do you think you could play one frog game before? I mean, do you think you'd go the rest of the year and find a frog game to play every week? It seems like a lot of
months.
I'll take the challenge. There's a surprisingly large amount.
Release the frog supercut at the end of the year.
And I remember playing a visual novel where the objective was to try to persuade a frog to come out of a boiling pot.
Oh, no.
Because it hadn't quite reached boiling point yet. And we have tried to explain to the frog why the whole concept of boiling alive
isn't great. Yeah.
It's not great.
Yeah. How do you explain, like, if you stay here, you will die to a frog?
Well, for what I remember, the frog wasn't really invested in its continuing existence.
The frog doesn't even want to be around anymore.
It's having an existential crisis.
Too much fucking shit on me.
Basically, yeah. All right, plug other stuff. Plug the other stuff we do.
Jay, you got a new video this morning.
Yes, my video on the whole design debacle of FF8 just dropped today. I had a wonderful time making that. And within that, the next video is going to be like another retro-y, never played episode, and it's going to be a vote. So over on my Twitch, we're going to do a vote. So you guys are going to get to decide whether it's going to be Metal Gear Solid or Majora's Mask. So if you're interested in having a say in what comes next, you can join me tomorrow evening, 7 p.m. EST, to drop the vote. And there'll also be an episode of Dev Heads today, this Friday.
This Friday.
This week.
Today, this St. Crispin's Day. You've played Ocarina of Time, right?
Yes.
Okay, just making sure, because I do feel like that is
it was a huge influence on my childhood. Majora's Mask when I was a kid was like a bit too spooky for me.
Oh yeah, it's pretty scary. I came pretty late to Majora's Mask. I played it when it came out on DS, but I rather enjoyed it.
Yeah, a lot of nice quality of life tweaks on DS. Cool. And then for the rest of our stuff, we'll have Hidden Gems, Hot Money Energy later tonight, Jack and Jenna tomorrow, normal streams rest of the week. And then in terms of other videos, tomorrow I should have a video essay that Casey and I edited, or I produced and Casey edited on Pragmata. So that should be going up tomorrow. And then there's a video Eric and I have been working on that should be going on either later in the week or next week. So stay tuned for those.
And one last super chat at the last minute. Just Existing gives another $5. Says, just wanted to give a wee bit more. Love your team. We love you too, Just Existing. Why can't you all be like Just Existing and give us all your money?
Why can't you all just exist? Think about that.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Well, 45.
Think about it.
Well, on that note, I guess that's it from us. I'll see you all on Wednesday. Till then, bye.
Bye, guys. Thanks for hanging out.